Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another segment of Bookney Author Showcase. I'm your host, Esther, and I'm the co-founder of Bookney. So for those of you who don't know what Bookney Author Showcase is about, it's when Bookney interviews authors of fiction, non-fiction, and children's books, indie authors to be specific, authors who are doing amazing things in the literary space, authors who have written one book, a couple of books, and are doing really amazing well to make sure that the Nigerian literary space is not left empty or very scanty. So today I have an amazing guest with me. Her name is Iyanuoluwa Olorode, also known as Abike Writes. Iyanu is the author of two books, Love's Direction and Love's Beacon. And today we are going to be talking about Love's Direction. So before I bring Iyanu on, before we get to meet her, before we get to know her, I want to reiterate that this is not the first Bookney Author Showcase we have. We've had a couple in the past in our book club, but this is going to be the first time we are bringing interviewers live on video. So please join me and make welcome Iyanuoluwa. Iyanuoluwa, it's nice to have you here with us.
Okay,
you're so welcome. I'm happy you're here and we'll get to know you and know your book. So I think my first question to you would be, please introduce yourself to us and your journey so far as an author.
Okay, so my name is Iyanuoluwa Olorode. I'm a Christian author. I tell the tales of broken people and the God who mends them. My Christian fiction revolves around the lives of broken people and how they find God and healing along the way. So my Christian fiction writing journey started in 2021. That's when I started penning down my stories, including the two that got published. But before then, I was writing secular romance, and the Lord redirected my path to start writing Christian fiction. And we thank God for that redirection. Now I'm the published author of two books, Love's Direction and Love's Beacon. They are the first two books in a Christian fiction series. So that's about it.
Okay, so I actually follow you on Instagram and TikTok, and if I'm correct, Love's Beacon and Love's Direction are just 2 out of the 6 books in that series. Am I right?
Yes, you're very right.
So we are expecting to see more amazing books, because I always feel like many Christians or people who read Christian fiction are just acquainted with Francine Rivers, Karen Kingsbury. Like those are like the 2 major names when you hear Christian fiction. And in as much as it's good, I feel like it's not complete, because many other authors too. I recently discovered Tessa Asha. I don't know if I'm getting her name correctly, but I think she's Armenian or so. And yeah, her book is also really nice. And there's this other lady, I can't remember her book, her name, but the book I'm currently reading of hers is called The Disciple's Sister. I can't remember her name. I just hope I remember.
Yeah,
you said?
That Angela Hunt.
Okay, yes, that's her name, Angela Hunt. So I feel like in the whole African space, like you can't really find many authors that are traditionally published to write Christian fiction, whether it is historical or contemporary. And I think it's a sad thing, because I don't know, like every book genre deserves recognition. As long as an author is putting in the work, if you can celebrate a particular genre, you should be able to make room for others. But I like what indie Christian fiction authors are doing, especially those in the Nigerian space. I mean, there are a couple I could mention here, a couple of authors, and I like that they are taking the bull by the horn to put out work that will edify people, because the way the world is going now, the kind of books, the kind of content, the kind of things we see there, I don't know if many of us we want our children to consume those kind of content. So I'm really happy with what Christian fiction authors are doing. And I love that your book is a 6-part series, which is going to be a lot of work, but at the same time, it's going to be very rewarding for yourself as an author and for people who like your work. So that's really amazing. So we are talking about love's direction, and I would like to know what your book is about. Is it the first part in the series? Is it the second part? What is it about, and who did you write this book for? Who in particular did you have in mind when you started writing this book?
Okay, so Lost Direction is the first book in a six-book series. It's an independent, standalone kind of series. So while the characters in each book of the series kind of know each other or are related to each other in one way, the book follows about five different people. So two books center around the life of Julia, while the other four center around the lives of other people. Love's Beacon, which is the second book in the series, so it follows the life of Regina, who is Julia's best friend. So Love's Direction is the story about revenge and salvation. The main character, Julia, wanted revenge against the people who hurt her when she was growing up. Her ex, her mother, her father, her uncle. She has a whole laundry list of people she wants revenge on. And then she's doing everything to get her revenge. And in the course of actively seeking her revenge, her ex, her first love, comes back into her life wanting forgiveness, trying to absolve himself of the things he did to hurt her. And Julia she's not giving room for revenge and for forgiveness. To her, forgiveness is for the weak, and she's not weak. So along the line, Julia makes a very interesting discovery that changes her desires, her goals. Something that someone she thought was dead was not actually dead, and she's doing everything to get this person back into her life. While Julia's story is the main story, there are other side stories following the lives of Julia's mother, Sophia, Darren, Julia's ex, and Helen, who is Darren's boss. So these people are connected, though they don't know it in the beginning, but they eventually learn about forgiveness independently. They learn about God's grace. They learn that no one is too far gone to be saved by God. So I wrote Love's Direction for people who are hurting, people who feel like God does not see them in the pain they are going through, people who feel like they are walking alone and they have to develop a thick skin to get through the hurts that life has put them through. Love's Direction for people who feel like they are too far gone to be saved by God. I wrote Love's Direction for people who feel like forgiveness is too hard. So those are the people I had in mind while, okay, I won't say I had them in mind while writing, but at the end of the day, I could see that those are the people who will be able to relate to the story. So that's it.
Okay, so personally, I love standalone books in a series. I feel like it gives readers the choice to just pick any book and start from anywhere. Books that actually follow a a chronological order in a series. I wouldn't say I don't like them, but I would prefer standalone books because I might be more interested in reading book 4 over book 2. And I really love that you yeah. So your book sounds very rich with lots of um side characters that have a lot going on. So what subgenre would you say your book falls under?
Okay, so some readers read it and say it's romance. While it's very heavy on the romance part, I personally will classify it as romance fiction because it's not it's not a romance that there's no happily ever after,
Okay.
because many readers don't know it yet, but there is a sequel to Love's Direction that's
Okay.
going to continue from when Love's Direction ended. So many readers have been like, I didn't like that there was no resolution to the story. I hope people don't see this as a spoiler, but yes, that there was no resolution to the story. So the next book I'm working on picks up from where Love's Direction left off. So that one is more heavy on the romance, but this focuses, while there is romance in it, there is a love story, but there are other themes, heavy themes in it, like family drama, family reunions, divorce, infidelity. So I'll classify it as Christian women's fiction.
Okay, okay. So that makes sense because normally romance books always have either happy for now or happily ever after. So yeah, so that's actually good. I like that the series is not just going to follow one subgenre all through. I like that there is a mix of things. So my next question for you would be um okay, why did you think it was important to write a book like this, and what also inspired you to write this book?
Okay, so like I said earlier, I started off writing secular romance. I didn't think I needed to write Christian fiction. Interestingly, before 2020, I had never heard of Nigerian Christian fiction. I'd read one or two Christian fiction written by um Caucasians but American, but
Mm,
I'd never read anything by Nigerian till I came across Tokwe Omotoshaw's book
okay.
on Nairaland. She was advertising on Nairaland. And I was very intrigued because these were people that had Yoruba names. They spoke Pidgin and English and Yoruba. And it was very interesting. So I followed her on Instagram. I was part of her book launch. Simultaneously, I was going through a very tough phase in my life. And I was going through depression, having suicidal thoughts and everything, but God was able to heal me from that. So as after that incident, I took stock of my life. I knew I couldn't continue to write secular romance, and for some reason I couldn't find the words to write anything. So I took a break. Somehow, thankfully, Dr. Motosho was there for me. She gave me a book to read. And in 2021, clarity came on what I was supposed to write. I got the story for Love's Beacon, which is book two in the series. And I started writing that, but I was in final year at the time, so I had to take a break to focus on my project and everything. But somehow I got inspiration from for Julia's story. It was
Okay.
a church Sunday school, and the Sunday school teacher asked that the man who had two wives before he gave his life to Christ, divorced one and remained married to the other. Those were dicey situations we're talking about in church. And that was where the idea for Julia's parents' family drama came from. And then Julia was already a character I had written in Regina's story. That's a love because. So just piecing, would she be the child of this kind of parents? And the Holy Spirit took over from there. I completed the draft in August 2021 and I submitted it for the African Christian fiction readers and
Writers.
writers community competition, and by the end of God, they managed third. So that was how the whole thing started, and the ball to get publishing began rolling.
That's very nice, and it's a very inspiring story. And I can also relate to taking a break because of a lot of things. So myself, I also write Christian fiction. And the first time I ever wrote Christian fiction was in 2016, 2017. I was going for my industrial attachment then. So I started writing this story
Okay.
and I just left it halfway because the cares of life, cares looking for money and trying to survive and all that just took over. But it was in
Yes,
my
I
final
understand.
year, I just told myself that you know what, I want to do something worthwhile before I leave this school. Like I want something to be done before my birthday. And prior to that time, I was coming in contact with lots of novels. I was reading novels, seeing how they were adapting some of these novels into movies. And I said, oh, so that means there's actually money inside this thing. Because when I was in secondary school, I just felt, oh, people just write as a hobby, just write and publish, make people happy. And
Yes,
as a writer, you get a real job. Your writing is like a side job to you. But it just somehow dawned on me that this could actually be a career for some people. Like you write and you make money from it. But I don't, till today, I really cannot explain why I decided that the first story I would ever write and publish would be Christian fiction. I really don't know why. Maybe it was because then I was like, I won't say okay, maybe then I was an ESCO in fellowship, and maybe I was will I say deep in God? I'm not saying I'm not deep in God now, but I feel like the environment I was in at that time, it was all about like knowing God for yourself, developing a relationship with God. So I can say somehow that was what influenced me, because on my own, I don't know why I decided that okay, I want to write a Christian romance story. And I wrote it. It was just this year I discovered that oh, what I wrote was even a novella, because it's not up to a full length novel. And I published it a few days after my birthday in 2021. And since then, I didn't write anything again until this year that I've gotten back to writing. So I really understand what it feels like to be in a dark place, and then you get literally called out by God and say, okay, this is not where your life is supposed to end. Like you have so much to do. And I feel like many times when people get that kind of call from God, the work that they do from that point is not going to be the same like the work they've done before, because now there's like a higher purpose, there's a higher calling, there is like a mission, like you know that this is something I have to do because there are people like me out there. Someone needs to read this book for their life to get back to normal, or someone needs this book to go back to their relationship with God. Because I remember getting a couple of testimonies from people who read my book then, talking about there was one particular lady, I don't know her, it's my sister's friend that knows her, and he took a screenshot of her WhatsApp chat telling me, oh, this girl said my story is like her exact life, as if I peeped into her life, and I don't know her from anywhere, but my story was able to help her get through what she was going. And many times, as often as I remember, I always try to put Christian fiction authors in my prayers, because it's not easy doing like this kind of work that God has called us to do. In as much as it might look like, oh, you're just writing, it's just for fun. I feel like there is no work of God that the devil sees and is happy about. So it's a really good
Yeah.
thing that you are doing. Like you are able to pick yourself up and tell yourself, you know what, I have to move on. And I'm also happy that another author was there for you. Like she encouraged you, she didn't
Yeah.
as a threat. And that's what it actually means to be a Christian. Like you don't see someone in the body of Christ and see them as competition. They are part of the body of Christ to assist you, because who knows, tomorrow you might do something for her that would be life changing for her. And something else I also love about your book is that you discuss really difficult topics, because let's not pretend that we are in a rosy world, like everything is everything is kumbaya, everybody's happy, we wake up, we eat right, we go to bed, and oh, there are so many difficult topics, so many difficult things that are going on. And even as Christians, sometimes we fall into this difficult situation. So say for instance, someone who is a Christian, tongue speaking, and then someone offends you, and you are saying, ah, I cannot forgive this person, but you're a Christian. So these are the difficult topics that need to be discussed, really dark topics that I don't want to mention here for certain reasons. But I feel like it's always good when Christians tackle these topics, and especially from a Christian perspective, because that's what makes us different from how other people in the world would um what's it called, handle such topics. So it's really, really good that you're handling difficult topics. And for what gave you the inspiration of a man marrying two wives, and then he gave his he gave his life to Christ, what will happen to I mean, so I don't have an answer to that question. I really don't have an answer. Okay, so my next question for you would be, what was the inspiration for your cover designs? Because I've seen your two book covers, and the covers are very fitting with the name of the book, with the title of your book.
Mm-hmm.
So, was that what inspired you, or was it the cover that inspired your book's title? Because I've seen a couple of people who said their book cover inspired the title for their book, and then there are some people who said it's the title that inspired the cover design. So which was it?
Okay, so I think I should start from the beginning. The title of the series is The Way Home. And that was because music is very important to me. Music is a huge part of my writing process. And I want to believe that God has inspired me through Christian music, because that's one genre I listen to a lot. So it was P.T. Martin's and Lauren Daigle's Come Back Home that inspired the title The Way Home. And so the two covers I have and the titles were inspired by two songs. Love's Direction was inspired by Phil Wickham's It's Always Been You. The line that says, "Your love will be the compass of my heart." So that's what inspired the title and the cover. And Love's Beacon was inspired by sorry, what's her name again? Stephanie Gertzinger's Come Out of Hiding. So I'll be your lighthouse when you're lost at sea. That line inspired the cover. So music inspires my covers, my titles, some scenes, and I give God all the glory.
And it's all fitting because at the end of the day, they fit into the overall theme of the series, and it's a really nice touch. And I like when there is synergy between maybe the covers and the title, or the cover and the theme of the book, and that's a really nice touch. And I'm quite sure, or I feel like probably you might have been getting ideas for the other titles and their covers too. All right. So, Iyanu, how do we reach you if anyone listening to this wants to get your books, they want to buy it? How do they reach you, and how do they get in touch with you basically on social media?
Okay, so I have a website, iyanuoluwaolorode.com.ng, or I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok as _Abike Writes. My books are available on Amazon, Seller, PubPub, Rakuten Kobo, and Kobo Plus. Another place. And BAM Books, yes, BAM Books too. Hopefully, with more book outlets, my books will be going more places, and hopefully soon I'll have paperback versions of my book in bookstores, physical bookstores.
All right. So you heard that. If you want to get Iyanu's book, you can just reach out to her on Instagram, Twitter, and send her a DM. I won't say she's always online, but she's very responsive, and she would point you in the right direction. So, Iyanu, do you have any final words for us? Any words of encouragement for maybe Christian fiction authors or readers, or just anyone?
Okay, so first off, I'd like to thank Bookney for putting this together. It's an amazing initiative to support indie authors, because indie authors don't get a lot of promotion or support from people. Actually, some people don't see indie authors as real authors, but we are, and we're putting a lot of work, a lot of time, blood, sweat, energy. So thank you for supporting indie authors. And to Christian fiction authors, to authors who are published, I'd love to say thank you for being the call of God on your life, for putting out your books, because putting out 2 books, I know it was hard, it was stress. At some point, I wanted to pull out my hair and say, I'm not doing it again, but some authors put out books, multiple books in a year, and they keep on pushing, keep on writing. And it's not easy when you're an indie author as well doing this, because there's nobody to push your books. So thank you for showing up even when you don't feel like showing up. And to authors who want to be Christian fiction authors, thank you too for yielding to the Spirit of God. And I just want to advise that you trust Him throughout the process. God has a way of taking all the glory. So even when things don't look like they are going where they are, when things look like they are going where they are not supposed to, we just trust God with the process. Continue to lean on Him, and He will glorify Himself. So that's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you so much, Iyanu. It was so nice having you here. And for everyone watching, please like this video, and we'll see you in our next author showcase, where we'll bring a brand new indie author your way. Bye.
Bye.
All right.